Hello, and welcome to the Rise Up Buttercup podcast, where we have one mission: to empower women across the world.
And I'm saying no way, I'm going my own way, and you can't stop me, 'cause I'm loving myself, oh no way, this is my own way, and you can't stop me, 'cause I'm loving myself.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to another episode of the Rise Up Buttercup podcast. I'm your host, Amy Gerhartz, and if you are brand new here, I am the founder and CEO of a company called A Higher Way of Living, where, as you heard in the intro, we are on a mission to empower women across the world in their confidence, communication, and leadership skills. And today, I really want to dive into chatting about how to build a morning routine for success. And it's a little funny that this is actually what I'm talking about today, because for a very, very long time, I was someone that was not quite on board with the morning routine. It was not something that, I woke up every day and was like, oh, I've got to do this great routine that I created for myself. In fact, I had the mentality of, all right, well, I'll just have an evening routine or a midday routine or something that, I'm sure is going to be equally as good, even though I had had all of these other coaches and folks in the mindset industry and the coaching industry telling me over and over and over again that the importance of the morning routine and why it could help you in your life. Even though I had all of these people telling me what to do, I was a little stubborn, coming from the music background of let's party until 2 or 3 a.m. and sleep until noon. And I thought, oh, I don't need a morning routine. I'll just have an evening routine, or I'll have a midday routine. And what ended up happening is I realized the things I was doing weren't actually working for me. So I don't know if you've ever been in this phase of life where you're like, I don't think the things I'm doing are actually working well, or at least not as well as they can work. And that's when I started saying, all right, well, maybe there's something to this morning routine thing. Maybe I should dive into it. Maybe I should check it out a little bit. So in today's episode, I want you to know, if you feel anything like me, and if you're kind of like, gosh, I don't know if I can do a morning routine. My life is so busy and so chaotic. I'm hoping that today I can sort of rephrase for you a little bit what a morning routine actually can look like, and give you some tips of things that I've implemented into my life that have helped me significantly. They've really supported me with getting on the right foot every day and starting my day off better than I probably would without the routine to begin with. So when it comes to a morning routine, a couple of things that really held me back from even wanting to get started is I heard all of these gurus and coaches and influencers and highly successful people talk about their morning routines that in reality just felt so unrealistic. It was like, yeah, I woke up and I jogged 20 miles and then I read 3 chapters in a book and then I made myself this organic, holistic breakfast. And then it was just these morning routines that felt so ridiculous sometimes. Like I had my mix of berries and chia seeds, and not to say those things are bad. I love berries and I love chia seeds, but it just felt like it was going to take hours upon hours to have these morning routines, or at least the folks that were having these morning routines, they felt so out there. Like I took a polar plunge and then I wrote a novel and then anyway, I digress. But they just felt like they were so big. These morning routines were so big. So the first thing when I decided, okay, that I wanted to implement a morning routine, the first thing I got to do was really shift the way I was seeing a morning routine. Because I had always seen a morning routine as something that had to be really big and had to take up so much time. And, listener, I have a really busy schedule, and I have a busy schedule running my own business and, producing content and traveling and all of these things. But I can only imagine how busy your schedule might be if you add in a layer of kids and work and social life and all of and partnerships and family, all of these things. that are on top of it, the idea of creating any more time in your schedule can just be incredibly overwhelming. So what I got to do, for me at least, was shift it to say, all right, what if my morning routine got to be something so simple? What if it got to be something that was just so incredibly simple, took less than 5 minutes a day for me to do, and that would just give me that idea of, all right, I'm doing something to start my day. I'm doing something to get the wheels moving. I'm doing something to put me in the right mindset to have a better day. And so if you're listening to this and you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe the first step in creating a successful morning routine for you is releasing the pressure of how big this morning routine actually has to be, because you get to choose for yourself what it ends up looking like. So that's what I did. I started to say, all right, what are some really, really simple things I can start implementing into my life? And so I want to share with you what it is that I do, how I start my day, and a couple boundaries that I needed to put into place for me that I hope will help you in your own life. And by the way, these are just suggestions. You get to choose what works best for you. So a couple of things that I got to do. When I started building my coaching business, and even when I was a touring musician and working in the music industry and running my own music career as well, it's really easy for me, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but it's really easy for me to be on my phone all of the time. It's really easy for me to be checking emails all of the time. It's really easy for me to be checking statistics on the podcast episodes or the YouTube videos that I'm putting out, or, which algorithm, which thing I did on YouTube hit the algorithm and people started viewing my videos. It's so easy for me to get into the tech and into the habit of work that I don't learn how to separate. And when it came to my morning, I found myself immediately grabbing my phone first thing in the morning. So what I started to do was create almost an evening routine that supported my morning routine, where I decided I was no longer going to sleep with my phone in my bedroom. In fact, my phone will either be here in my kitchen, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that. If you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and check out my kitchen. I put up some lights. I think they're fun. And I started either leaving my phone in my kitchen or it's in my living room. And I leave it plugged in at night. Now, once again, I don't have kids that are going to be calling me. If there's a family emergency, it's not like I can get there in 5 minutes. My family lives a little further away. And now I do have emergency contacts. So if an emergency contact calls me, then I'll be able to hear my phone ring, because I also put my phone on Do Not Disturb from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. every single day. It doesn't mean I don't check my phone. It just means I don't hear the notifications going off between those 12 hours. So I started sleeping with my phone in the kitchen or in the living room. And I started creating this routine where I would wake up in the morning and not immediately grab my phone. That was the first thing. The second thing that I started doing was really starting my day the minute my eyes opened. I started a routine of prayer and gratitude. Now, if prayer is not your thing, if you don't believe in a higher power, then maybe just gratitude is a way to look at it. But I would start my day just thankful that I woke up another day and thanking God for the things that I have, and looking around and just being grateful for my apartment and for my life, and just kind of sitting in that moment of gratitude. And sometimes I'm doing this, listener, while I'm still laying in bed. So, the gratitude doesn't have to be this, oh, I isolated myself, I burned the sage. Like, it can be I just am laying in bed, I'm waking up, I'm, stretching my feet and my arms, and, I'm sitting there just having a conversation with God. And for you, once again, that can look however you want it to look. But for me, it was just reminding myself of the things that I'm grateful for. The next thing I did is when I get out of bed, I actually make my bed every morning. I didn't used to be a bed maker. And now for probably the last 4 or 5 years, I make my bed every day. It takes literally like 30 seconds for me to pull the covers up and just, fluff the pillows and make it look nicer. It's not like I'm doing a hotel tuck or anything. Like it's just me making the bed. And I found that those two simple things or three simple things, not grabbing my phone, sitting in gratitude, and then making my bed, make the biggest difference for me in the mornings, because I just feel like I get into this productive space of I'm doing something kind for myself by making my bed. I'm sitting in gratitude. I'm reflecting on the things that I have. And so that's a great way that I start my day every morning. And it's a great way that you can start your day as well, too, if you want to do something that is so simple and so quick. Now, a couple other things that I started adding in to create a really good morning routine for me, and it depends on the day, but some days I will just get a workout or some sort of movement knocked out first thing in the morning, because my days get so incredibly busy that sometimes I'm on calls with clients until 8 or 9 o'clock. Sometimes I am working on content until even later than that. And if I don't do it earlier in the day, if I don't do a workout earlier in the day or some sort of movement, I usually won't do it unless it's a yoga class that I've already paid for and I've got it in my calendar blocked off. I really won't focus on my health as much. So, and I also find that movement in the morning, some sort of physical movement, even if it's just a little bit of stretching, really helps to wake up the body. And then the other thing I do, and I think this is really important because as I told you before, my phone usually sits in my kitchen or in my living room. The other thing I do is I make sure that I don't grab my phone right away because once again, there is that urge to go, 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 at least for me. And I know so many people right now, so many of my clients, so many of my friends, we feel this pressure to be on our phones and our computers all of the time. I have people that email me on like Sunday night or like Saturday afternoon. I'm like, you guys, it is the weekend. Like I get it, but just take a breather, right? And by the way, I'm not talking about like random Saturday, Sunday nights. I'm talking like every Saturday or Sunday night. And I get it. We find the time when we can find the time to get work done. But at the same time, we get to create these boundaries to not just immediately jump into work and immediately jump into action. So what I do is I make a conscious effort to train my brain that in 5 minutes, there is not going to be a major catastrophe in my life that I'm going to be able to solve in 5 minutes. So let me explain this. When I wake up after I've made my bed and I've done my gratitude and I, go to the bathroom and brush my teeth, when I come out to my kitchen or my living room, there's going to be that urge, or usually there's that urge for me to grab my phone. So I tell myself, just sit down for a second, make a cup of coffee, drink some water. Oh, that's another thing I do first thing in the morning. I drink a full cup of water with some probiotics in it. Gosh, I'm sounding like one of those folks now, aren't I? With like with like all the hippie shit everywhere. But I drink a full cup of water in the morning to get my, organs working correctly, I guess. And then I make coffee and I tell myself, all right, nothing chaotic is going to happen in 5 minutes. Just take 5 minutes to sit with yourself and be with yourself. Now, this is so complicated for so many people to do. Because once again, we just want to dive into our phones. We just want to rush. We just want to go, 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 go. And if you're listening to this and you have family and you've got, kids you got to get to school and you've got to get off to work, I understand the need to be urgent or that sense of urgency that can take over the day. But I want you to know if you can't take 5 minutes to just sit with yourself, take 2 minutes, put a timer on and just do some breathing, some grounding in the morning with yourself. And usually in this 5-minute period, what I usually end up doing is just telling myself mentally and sometimes even out loud these affirmations for my day. Like today is an opportunity. Today gets to be great. Today gets to be what I choose it to be. I am loved. I am taken care of. I'm provided for. I say really kind and loving things to myself in those 5 minutes that I sit with myself. And listener, once again, if you don't have 5 minutes, take 2 minutes, take 1 minute. The reason I say this is because when we start going into action and when we start moving and taking action in our days and getting into this urgency, we tend to forget about ourselves and we forget about focusing inward. And so when I start my days focusing inward, I have a tremendously better day every single time. Now, here's the cool thing about going inward. You can actually do this anytime throughout the day, but it's so wonderful to do it right in the morning. So these are some things that I implement that I have found have made, like I said, such a massive difference in my day and how I approach my day. And my morning routine has now supported me to not feel as stressed, to not feel as overwhelmed. If I am waking up and I'm just not feeling that great, if all I get done that day is my gratitude and making my bed, then my gosh, I've done it, right? You see those memes and the comments and quotes that people put, if you wake up with 10% and you give 10%, then you've given 100%, right? If you only have 10% to give that day, then you've done your best, then you're winning at life. So the idea here for you, and the point I'm attempting to get to, is that when it comes to a morning routine for yourself, find a couple of things that you can start implementing in. They're going to support you in feeling more calm and accomplished every single day. Because if I have a day that I'm just feeling in the dumps, and by the way, just because I'm a coach doesn't mean that I don't have these days, but if I have a day where I'm just feeling in the dumps, having this morning routine gives me some sort of grounding. It gives me some sort of perspective. And usually by the end of that day, I start feeling a lot better. So what can you implement into your life? What are some small, simple, little daily things that you can start to use to just make these tiny little adjustments every single day? You know, there's a great book. I think I've referenced it before in the podcast. If not, I've referenced it somewhere in my coaching because I really believe in this book. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And it talks about the small, simple daily habits. The small, simple things lead up to big results. So when it comes to creating a morning routine for success, for building a morning routine for you so that you can have success and feel successful, what are those small things that you can start shifting, those small little things? And if you are feeling this overwhelm about the morning routine, the way that I did at the beginning of this episode when we were talking about that, how can you shift your perspective to see things just a little bit more clearly? So, listener, I really, really hope that this supports you today. I hope that you take some of these tips and you implement them into your life. And also don't forget to look in the description and download the free confidence guide that we have for you. And remember that you are one of a kind and absolutely worth it. And I'll see you next time.